Yay! So, welcome back to Dr. Megan Medina. She's like our resident doctor now, our homeopath, talking about all the things. And if you haven't listened to the first episode with her, then go back and listen to that. And then you can start listening to these little mini-sodes, which we're going to touch on different topics and illnesses. And it's just, yeah, the manifestation of the physical and the emotional and the spiritual. And I just love all of that as well. So, welcome, Meg.
Thank you. Thank you for having me always.
Oh, so we're going to first talk about parasites. Super early in the morning, might regret this, but I feel like let's get the big one that I'm so interested in out the I'm so interested in this. We've had DMs on Instagram about this. If I've seen something and sent it to you, and then you're like, yeah, that's a thing. And I'm like, what? Tell us all the things about parasites, because I feel like most of us have had them or do have them right now, and we don't actually even know.
Yeah. So there's a saying, right, that goes, if you have a pulse, you have a parasite, right? So basically, we're all walking around as houses, as hosts to parasites, right? And so varying levels of symptoms, okay? So depending on the amount of parasites that you may have in your body, okay, or your susceptibility, so your immune system's ability to live amongst them, okay, will depend on your manifestation of illness. So who I see suffering with the like legit outright symptoms is kiddos, right? Because they can throw a symptom off to the surface so quickly and so easily. So like I'll run a list. Our big symptoms are like air hunger. Like one of the biggest things is air hunger. So like teeth grinding at night, or kids who sleep like with their mouths open. And you'll even sometimes see like in like sleeping positions, like, you know, instead of like sleeping like this, they'll sleep so like they're like opening up their airway so that they can get the air into their body. Okay. Wow. So nighttime's a great time to see symptoms of parasites, because they come alive in the darkness. They come alive a lot of the time in the presence of serotonin. Okay. So teeth grinding, restless sleeping, mouth breathing, air hunger, snoring, kids who wet the bed a lot, right? Or like nocturnal enuresis, so like need to wee often through the night, are signs of like parasites. And then like your typical gut things, so like sore tummy, itchy bum, it's a huge one. Bloaty tummies, gassy tummies. And then sometimes they can be a little constipated, but or flipping between like a runny tummy and then constipation. And then the big one is the irritability. The child is irritable, annoyed. Their whole system is just, they're angry, irritable little people. So I mean, these are all like normal, and you can have like, there are other reasons why you would have these symptoms, right? But if you're noticing a lot of these, you know, coinciding sort of oftentimes with the full moon, right? The higher the bigger the full moon, right? The brighter the sky, the less melatonin we make, okay? The more serotonin we have, the more active and busy these little buggers are. Oftentimes that's when we'll see like a flare up or more of those symptoms. Yeah.
I was wondering what the full moon thing was. Okay, so that's why it is.
Yes, yeah. So oftentimes you'll see like a flare of like more irritability, more restless sleeping, more maybe have a wet the bed, more gut issues will flare at that time, because they're coming alive at that time. And I mean, it's so disgusting, but often that's when the little eggs break, you know, open up and release the new baby. So there's lots of like activity. Yes. Yeah.
When you think about that,
it's so disgusting. So the thing with parasites, right, is that they live within our body. They're part of who we are, right? Their job is to mop up dead or damaged tissue. Okay, or they love like candida as well. So like fungus, they eat fungus. So their job is actually, they're like the cleanup. They're like the cleanup brigade within our body. All right. The problem comes in is when we have too much toxicity in our body, okay? And then we get too many parasites, right? So the more toxic, the more dense, the more inflammation, the more stagnation we have in our bodies, the more parasites we have in our bodies, right? So like you can definitely do a parasite cleanse and kill the little fuckers, but if you don't keep the terrain clean, you know, if you don't address your lifestyle or cleaning out the toxicity, then they'll come back, right? Their job is there to eat and to decompose and to get rid of the debris. So it's definitely a twofold thing. And in adults, I see parasites being a major contributor to mental health, mental well-being, that feeling of instability, restless, irritable, sometimes even like feelings of depression and anxiety can be linked back to parasites because they're stealing our nourishment, right? They're stealing and they're taking from our nutrition. They're preventing us from absorbing nutrients. So we become deficient, right? And then they also can release little toxins which cause irritation, and they're awful.
So
you gotta get them under control.
Yeah, you need to whip them into shape.
You need to whip them into shape, but like I say, you need to whip them into shape, but you need to whip yourself into shape. You have to make sure your terrain doesn't encourage them to come back. You know, we don't want them to feel like, oh yeah, this is where I want to live, you know.
So nice and warm and cozy, yeah.
Yeah, and so much to eat and so much good stuff, and yeah.
So, because I can imagine if you have these things in your body and lots of them, it's making you feel so uncomfortable and like almost like you aren't in control of your body, that it could make you feel like you're going a little bit crazy. That maybe the feeling of not feeling like you're like feeling off, can it actually make you be confused with anxiety, like actual anxiety, that it could make you feel like you have anxiety, but you actually don't. It's just that you have this parasite that's making you feel out of sorts and in this way.
Absolutely, because anxiety is linked to neuroinflammation, okay? And neuroinflammation comes from gut inflammation. So if our gut is inflamed because these parasites are causing inflammation, causing a leaky gut, causing, you know, inflammatory cells to start leaking out into the body, right? They're going to cross the blood-brain barrier. They're going to go to the brain. They're going to cause a nervous neuroinflammation, which can lead to feelings of anxiety. You know?
I wonder how many people are walking around thinking that they have anxiety and they actually have parasites feeding off them.
Yeah, they just need to clean out their gut. Yeah, and then we can take it even further. So when we are in a space of inflammation because of whatever's going on in the gut, right, or because we've got toxic overload, okay, we start to deplete B vitamins and magnesium. And like research has shown, if you are in a space of magnesium or B vitamin depletion, that can show up as signs of anxiety or depression. So sometimes it's more just actually a nutritional deficiency or a mineral deficiency versus actual like brain chemical inflammation.
And is magnesium for sleep as well? Does it help with your sleep?
Very much, yeah. It's like the magic mineral of life. Yeah.
Everyone going out to get magnesium.
Yes, everyone go get the magnesium.
Short on the shelves. So so that's like a cycle, because then you would be feeling like this, your magnesium's depleted, so then you're feeling anxious, and then you aren't sleeping because you don't have enough magnesium in your body, and then you get more anxious because you have insomnia and you can't sleep, and it's just like keeps going.
Like a cycle, absolutely. Yeah. And then we get hooked on the cycle, and then you don't know how to get out of it, right? And so then we start looking for like medication to hold you or to support you, which it does. I mean, it can serve you, you know, much like a parasite cleanse will serve you, but you still need to address all the underlying stuff, which most people are not aware of. They're not aware of that important part of the process.
And I think also when you look to like Western medicine and you look to all the doctors and the, you know, the medicines, not the homeopathic side, I feel like you also,
Pharmaceuticals.
yeah, they don't address these things and they don't link these things as well. So you're just getting treated for the insomnia or for the anxiety and they're not finding the root cause. Whereas the homeopathic way is finding, okay, let's just dig and find out what is actually wrong and treat that and then do the parasite cleanse. And then at the same time, okay, but you need to clean up this, you need to move your body, you need to do these things. But you are finding that root cause, which I don't think that they do.
No, yeah, well, they don't. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things with parasites is stagnation, right? So whenever we have like stagnant tissue, old tissue, debris, you know, stagnation in our body, so we're not moving, we're not detoxing, we're not draining, it's like it becomes this beautiful environment for parasites to thrive. Okay. But one of the things that we don't often think about is also emotional stagnation, right? Like parasites love toxicity. They love physical toxicity, but also we know that our mind affects our body. We know our thoughts and our emotions affect the physical. And so if you've got lots of toxic thoughts or toxic relationships or like dense emotions that haven't moved or that are trapped in your body and are causing toxicity and heaviness, you're going to attract parasites to that as well.
So funny because when you said stagnation, that's the way mind works these days. I went to that, like the spiritual side, not the physical. I was like, oh, you know, literally stagnation in your life. I thought more of in the physical, you know, stagnation in your body and things like that. So I've kind of like moved away from the, you know, just the physical, and I'm like moving into that space. And that's where my mind went. Because so many people, when you ask, how are you or how are you really feeling? And they're like, I feel so stuck in my life.
And then you are like prone to parasites, right? Yeah. You're prone to any sort of stagnation and an inflammatory physical manifestation. Those are people who are going to have like stuck joints or stuck colon constipation or, you know, like stuck liver and plays out in the body always.
We could literally do a whole topic just on being stuck.
Totally. We could. We should.
Like, oh, so yeah, we had this add to list, Jack. So if someone thinks they might have, or they have these symptoms, so what is the first step? They usually come to you and they'll do like a consultation. And I mean, I think that you probably uncover a lot in a consultation, just the way you ask questions and how you know, you ask the metaphysical as well. Like, how are you feeling? How's this? Have you ever felt this? How's your relationship? How's work? You know, you uncover probably so much from that. So what is the first step if people think they might have parasites, or like they might have thought of like a few of those that you heard of, or and think, oh, my child might, they're very constipated, or what do? They do a consultation with you with a homeopath, and then you recommend a parasite cleanse and all those drainage things. And
so before you try and kill the parasites, you've got to open up your drainage pathways, right? So you need to make sure that you're sweating and pooing and urinating and potentially or finding a way to open up the drainage pathways of your emotions, right? So cry, scream, rage, journal, dance, whatever, shake it out. But you need to make sure that when we kill them, they can come out, right? You don't want to start attacking them with whatever. You can use like Vermox, you know, hardcore pharmaceuticals, or you can use like your herbals like wormwood or clove, or, you know, or there's a whole bunch of beautiful herbs to try and kill them. You don't want to kill them, and then that irritates them, and then they release their toxins, and then that just sort of like recirculates because they can't get out, right? So you need to, so step one, before you try and kill them, step one is to make sure all my drainage pathways are open. I'm crying, I'm sweating, I'm making a poo, I'm, you know, breathing, I'm doing all sorts of things to allow for detox and drainage. Then we kill them. Yeah. So there has to always be like correct order in which we go about the healing journey.
Okay. And then you can also do like a protocol with them with your for those in South Africa, you can do like, the protocol and help them along with this. Do you book people in and it's like a whole protocol to do like a parasite cleanse? And then you've got, obviously, I mean, I'm in Durban and you're in Hilton and you courier stuff to me anyway. So like you can you do like the protocol and the drops and the meds and all that stuff to help with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, you don't have to be in Durban, right? Like, so, or like even in South Africa, you can work with any practitioner, provided they know the process online, because homeopathy is universal, right? So I'm going to say, okay, you are resonating, you need this kind of a remedy. You can go and find it in Portugal when you go there, right? Like you can get that remedy in America. You need this herb and that herb. You can find them. Like you can get all of these things. You just need a practitioner to be with you, hold your hand, to assess how you're feeling, because sometimes you might kill the parasites and then you get like hectic runny tummy and you're feeling absolutely shattered and you feel a bit depleted, in which case you say, okay, let's hold off, let's replenish you a little bit, let's boost you up a bit, let's support you, and then we start again.
Okay. Yeah. So it is important to have that guidance, because if you're trying to do it by yourself, you won't know, you're not being supported, and you won't be doing it in the right order, or you might be depleting yourself more thinking, I'm just going to push through. And you're like, please don't.
Please don't. Yeah. And it's so nice to have somebody to say, yeah, you're on the right path, you're doing the right thing, or remember, so when you release parasites, you release other things, because they hold on to like candida, they love candida. So you might have like this massive candida flare and be like, oh my God, something's happening to me, like I'm unwell, I'm not, and then your practitioner can be like, no, that's part of the process, that's a good thing, or you might experience like hectic rage, or like have a breakdown and cry, and you'd be like, something's happening to me, something's wrong, and you'd be like, no, these are good things, stuff's coming out. So like it's nice to have somebody like in your corner to support you through the intensity of parasite cleansing. It's a deep one to go on.
I'm like, I feel like I don't have any right now, but part of me is like, I want to experience this someday. Like I want to do a cleanse with you, like a parasite.
Oh yeah, you want to.
And maybe also you don't even like me. I'm like, I don't have anything, I'm fine now. But we might do a cleanse and then feel completely different and not realize that we felt a certain way. Is that right as well, do you think?
Totally. Exactly. You might have this like new boost of energy, or this like mental clarity, or like an upgrade, like you're an upgraded because you're not being weighed down by something that's causing pathology.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have any questions about parasites, you can go to Meg's. I'll put it all in the show notes, but it's Dr. Megan Medina on Instagram and on Facebook, and her website, and just even DM her if you have any questions. She loves a question, and we love a question. And stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to be doing a few of these little mini episodes so that you guys can like understand different topics, and then you can reach out to her if you want, and just to become more self-aware and move that body. And it's not about moving it to look good, it's about moving it to feel good. And now you need to move your body to get the nunus out. If you don't live in South Africa, we call the chojos, the nunus, we call those funny things that are living inside of you. Ew, oh my God. No, I love that we spoke about this, because I think I sent you that video? Was it an elephant that had like a 1 meter or more? It had like a a 1 meter. No, it was more than 1 meter. It was meters, I think. And I saw this reel and I was like, Megan, what is this reel? And it was like meters of tapeworm that was coming out of this. It was an elephant. What was that?
It was. It's so disgusting.
It was so gross, and it would not stop. I was like, is this real? What is going on? It was just coming out and out and out. And I was like, whoa. It makes you clench.
And people pass this, right? Like on my protocols, people will pass worms and parasites. Like I have seen it. I mean, it's so disgusting.
Do they take photos?
They take photos and they send me, and I'm like, there we go, baby.
Good job. So proud. It's so long.
It's quite liberating to think like you've like shed that. You've shed that toxicity in your body. Yeah.
So is the tapeworms like is it small, or is it like a centimeter, or is it thinner? It's like thin.
It's quite thin but long. But I mean, you've got all sorts, right? You've got hookworms, you've got like little flukes that can like embed in your liver. They can get, yeah. You have like a whole variety of parasites. Yeah, pinworms. Yeah.
All the
So
worms. And do you think the kids get it? Do kids get it more from like sand and things like that, playing in the dirt? And then adults is like sushi and all the kind of food, like the raw food.
Or even like contaminated water, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So after the floods,
Durban
yeah, it would have been bad.
Sea. Exactly.
Swimming in the
Yes.
Durban Sea.
Yeah, like if you're a canoeist and you do the doozy, if you've got parasites, absolutely.
So they should all
and then like, so contaminated food, contaminated water, pets, if you've got animals and pets, yeah, sand pits, you know, the beach, it's everywhere really. And again, it's not to, like I said, it's not to make you fearful, right? Like if you have a pulse, you have a parasite. Like you can actually live in harmony with parasites in your body. You don't want them to, you don't want to kill all of them. Their role is to break down debris, to break down toxic material, and to, you know, to help you pass it out. But like I say, when your toxicity becomes high or higher than your body's ability to detox or move it out, then the parasites grow as well, and then we start to experience symptoms of parasite infestation.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we are here to empower you and to give you the knowledge, because I also think it's important, like when you're listing off those symptoms, that someone might be sitting at home feeling awful and thinking they've got this hectic autoimmune thing that no one can diagnose and no one knows what it is, and they're like, I have all of those things, and now, you know, maybe the next step is to do a parasite cleanse and see how you feel afterwards. And also with kids as well, you know, especially the constipation, and you don't know what's wrong. I think sometimes it could be something like this. I'm actually going to send it to a friend.
And also a lot of the time, like kids' behavioral issues, you know, like kids who are like restless, ADD. I mean, like you're not sleeping at night, and you're going to have a bad day of concentrating at school. You're going to feel irritable. They make you angry. You know, a lot of big symptoms is like anger, right? They might have outbursts. They might have like extreme sugar cravings, so their blood sugar goes all over the place. And so a lot of these kids are the too quick to be labeled like ADD, or, you know, behavioral issues or learning issues, whereas actually maybe their gut health is just really not in up to scratch or optimal, right? And so they are attracting parasites which are causing these symptoms.
Oh, I have a few people that I'm gonna send that to. That is so interesting. I never even thought about that. And that is massive, because then they go and they get labeled as ADD, and then they go on this hectic medication that makes them into zombies. And yes, there's a time and place for everyone. I mean, if that is if that is the thing that my child needed and it was the actual diagnosis, fine. But it could be something like this, and they're not being supported in the right way, and also their diet's probably wrong, and they're not moving enough, and all these different things that lead to this. Wow, like mind blown.
Light bulb.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, oh, not my child. She's okay for now, but if she starts acting, or she starts screaming and acting out more, I'll be like, do you have a parasite in your tummy? Shall we get it out?
I've done it with my big girl. I haven't done it with Josh, but I've done it with Josie. And I mean, like, sorry, Joes, if one day you listen to this, but like, we've passed some things, you know, like we've passed some worms that we've like, I've literally seen them. Like, it's liberating.
I was gonna say, did you clap? Were you excited? Were you jumping up and down?
So, and also like the emotional stuff that came, like she was so emotional, she was so angry, she was so irritable, she was so like needy and like down, and then like needed to sleep. And like, if I didn't know those symptoms to watch for, I would have been like, oh my God, what's wrong with my kid? You know. And then she came out of it and she passed it, and then we replenished, we gave some minerals, and she's firing, you know, 100%.
And how long did that take, that procedure that you, like the protocol that you do?
So I had prepped her, obviously. So I'd done a lot of like drainage stuff and liver work for like 2 or 3 months. Wow. And then we did the parasite cleansing for 3 weeks, right? And then towards the end stage of the 3 weeks is when she passed all the stuff. And then we replenished and built her back up. So look, like it's a long process, right? Like it's a 4 month process if you do it properly.
Yes.
But again, it doesn't have to be intensive, you know, it's just to keep your finger on the pulse.
Yes. Okay. So someone could do it over a month. They don't need to do like 4 months. It depends on the person, I suppose, and what they
Depends on the toxic level of the child or the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, healing is not linear. Healing is not instant. It's, you know, we move and it's slow and it's reshedding layers. That's what we're doing.
Oh, so interesting. Thank you, Meg.
Yeah.
On all the
My pleasure. Thank you.
parasites. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And as I said, everything will be in the show notes, but Dr. Megan Medina on Instagram, you can go and follow her and see all of her tips as well. And yeah, we will see you guys next week.
Cool.